So let's talk the MVP race. The MVP race for about a month or two has been between two players, Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Now there's been other contributors, but as I stated in the past month or so, it's been about these two guys. Now I'm going to break down who I think is leading this race at the moment and why I think he's leading. But first, let's talk about the other contributors. One of those contributors is Steph Curry. Now you can make a compelling argument that Steph lost this MVP more than Jokic or Joel or whoever wins it out of the two won it. However, I'll go more in depth about that in another video. Nonetheless, Steph held the lead for the first 2 months of the season. Maybe even longer if we be honest. And then he began struggling. Luka was also a contributor. In fact, most had him as the MVP favorite going into the season. Now, due to Luka beginning the season a bit out of shape, he sort of flew under the radar, at least until now. Luka has been on a tear as of late. He's currently averaging 28.2 points a game, along with 9.3 rebounds and 8.6 assists. Elite stats. But what hurt Luka's early season MVP campaign is in the first 30 games of the season, the Dallas Mavericks went 15-15. 15 wins to 15 losses. The Dallas Mavericks are now tied with the Utah Jazz for the fourth best record in the West. They sit in the fifth spot with a record of 43 wins to 26 losses. To start 15-15 and to end up 43-26 is quite remarkable. Luka and the Mavericks clearly went on a run. Within that run, the Dallas Mavericks went 28-11, 28 wins to 11 losses. Luka averaged 31.3 points along with 10 rebounds and 7 assists within that run, which immediately solidified Luka as a dark horse for the MVP. Another dark horse is Ja Morant. Him and the Memphis Grizzlies has been such a surprise this season. Ja is currently averaging 27 points along with 6 rebounds and 7 assists a game, leading the Memphis Grizzlies to the second best record in the West, with a record of 48 wins to 22 losses. Giannis is also a contributor, but unfortunately, I think he's going to fall victim to voting fatigue. But enough about contributors, or even dark horses. Let's talk about one of the two leading candidates, and that's Joel Embiid. Now Joel Embiid is currently averaging 30 points along with 11 rebounds and 4 assists. He also averaged a block of steal a game. The Philadelphia 76ers are currently the third seed in the East with a whopping record of 44 wins to 27 losses. I think Embiid has a really lofty chance to win the MVP race. Simply off the Ben Simmons trade, I think Ben leaving Embiid and not wanting to play him none this season plays a massive component in voting favoritism. That exact voting favoritism is what won Russell his MVP in 2017. Kevin leaving him to join the Golden State Warriors led to the media and fans feeling really bad for Russell. Russell obviously performed well enough to acquire the award, averaging a triple-double and leading an average OKC team to the 6th seed in the West. The same happened to Joel. Now, as we know, Joel now has James Harden as a counterpart to play alongside with him. However, before Harden joined, Joel led a Ben-less Philadelphia 76ers team to the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. He led them to a record of 32 wins to 22 losses. Now to the other candidate of the two-man led MVP race, Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is currently averaging 26 points along with 14 rebounds and 8 assists a game. Pretty lofty stats, and just like Embiid, he's missing his second in charge. However, he lost his second in charge due to an injury and not a trade. And just like Embiid, he's been able to exceed and lead his team to a good position. The Denver Nuggets is currently 6th in the Western Conference with a record of 43 wins to 30 losses. And Jokic and the Denver Nuggets is also missing another vital piece to the Nuggets offense, and that's Michael Porter Jr., who's been out with a back injury, by the way. And again, without the Denver Nuggets' next two best players alongside Jokic, Jokic has continued to carry an injured Nuggets team. Also, Jokic is the only MVP candidate, top 10 in scoring, rebounding, and assists. He's also number 1 in plus minus. And that's what makes this MVP race so compelling. Jokic is better statistically. However, the Denver Nuggets are currently the 6th seed in the West, and their next up and coming games isn't exactly walks in the park. I mean, they aren't the toughest, but the Minnesota Timberwolves are right on the Denver Nuggets trail. If Denver loses any of these games, which is very possible, and if the Minnesota Timberwolves sustain their offensive hot streak that they're on, that could lead to the Denver Nuggets slipping down the conference a spot or two. And that's where things get tricky for Jokic and his MVP campaign. And another thing to keep in mind is his opponent. His opponent has had this glaring narrative blossom since the beginning of the season that sort of propelled his MVP run, if you ask me. Again, Ben leaving Joel and not wanting to play with him for whatever reasons boosts Joel's MVP chances. Because if it's one thing we learned from watching the NBA over these years, is the media loves a good narrative. And candidly, I can see that playing a massive component in this MVP race, which is why I have Joel winning over Jokic. Again, Jokic's stats are better, but it's not like Joel's stats are lackluster. Joel's stats are pretty elite as well, and on top of those elite stats, his team is in a better position. And I know that's not totally on Jokic, because he's been asked to do a lot. However, the term valuable seems to have a different meaning when voting for this award. Like, the criteria alters so much, it's hard to tell who's going to win. But by definition, Jokic should probably win this award. I feel like he's been a bit more valuable to his team than Joel. But with Joel's constant offensive dominance and the 76ers' higher seeding, along with narratives being pushed and the inevitable voting fatigue that Jokic is going to eventually find himself running into because he's becoming historically great, all plays a part in this, man. But let me know who you think the MVP is. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm out.